welcome back to another episode of 612 Motorsports. In today's episode, I have a very special guest. His name is Justin, and he owns a amazing paint business, custom paints, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later. We're actually going to be doing a video later today about the business, so if you haven't subscribed or you're new or whatnot, you're going to want to see that. Make sure you subscribe now. Keep your eyes out for that. Make sure also you leave comments, thumbs up, all that stuff. It's super helpful, and it's very greatly appreciated. Now today I'm sitting with Justin in his Cosworth. It's a Ford Escort. I know that sounds a little weird to some of you, and to others you might actually be like, oh my god, a Cosy, you know, like you'd be all excited about it. Justin here is going to tell us a little bit about his vehicle. We're going to go for a little drive. I'm going to let Justin take it away. It's a pleasure. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks again. So how long have you had the vehicle?
This car, about 4 years now. Bought it in the UK. Unusual being a left-hand drive in the UK.
Yeah, you don't see that.
The history of this car actually is quite strange, because this was made in 1996.
Okay.
One of the last ones to be built off the line, because they finished in 96.
Okay, that was the last production year?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was only in Germany, I believe, for 1 year, and then it got shipped to the UK, and then basically collectors, it's bounced around since then. And this particular car, I bought this with only 39,000 miles on the clock. So it's a very low mileage car.
Yeah.
I've got all the history, and being in the UK, we get every year it has to be MOT, service, etc.
Okay.
And I have all the history, a big file of it. So when I bought it, I felt like I was getting something with good history, good
right.
background.
You knew exactly what you were buying, no questions or second guesses in your mind there.
And it was bog standard, nothing real done to it. Engine was standard, so it was just a nice solid car to start off with.
How many of these did they produce for the last production year? Do you know offhand?
If I'm correct, I think in general for the years they made this Escort Cosworth, there's only 6,000 or 7,000 ever made. Okay, total.
Yeah. How many years did they make them?
Oh, that's a good question. I think they made them from about 92 maybe to 96. There was only a certain period of time where they made them, and then they originally built this an Escort Cosworth off of a Sierra Cosworth. So the floor pan on these cars are based off of a Sierra Cosworth, which is the Ford's rally car. Oh, okay. So they put an Escort shell on top of that and made the Escort Cosworth, and they're great fun. Is
there any particular reason why they didn't make them longer? Did they not catch on? You were saying that earlier that they were really popular, one of the highest theft vehicles in the UK.
The first couple of years these were released in the UK and in Europe, they were supposedly the most stolen car, because every boy racer just wanted to get in one and basically race around the streets in them, because they were the ultimate boy racer's car. So
that's an amazing story. Yeah, that's great.
So there was probably a lot of them from that 7,000 written off in those first few years, from people crashing them all the time.
Yeah, ditching them when the cops come. So
they're just good fun to drive. And the thing with these engines, these Cosworth engines, they're a 2-litre turbo. Okay. And they start off standard factory 230 brake. They're all-wheel drive.
Oh.
So
that I didn't know.
Yeah, all-wheel drive, and they can be up to 8,000 brake horsepower in such a small light car.
That's lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. So this one is only running about 300 brake horsepower, so it's a little bit of a baby.
Haven't done too many mods to it?
No, I didn't want to go too mad with it, and bringing it over to the US. If I go too specialised on my own thoughts was, am I going to find a Ford specialist who knows what they're going to deal with for Cosy? There's not many of them over here. So
no.
I thought, you know what, just have a little bit of power, but nothing over the top.
It's got a great little sputter. I love that.
Yeah, the chatter.
Yeah. That's badass. Yeah, that's all you need. That's just enough to hit, you know. It's a very smooth car. It feels really tight too. You don't hear any noises. Did you do like full frame off on this basically, or?
No, when I bought it, it was a very straight car. So I've not really done it. I've upgraded the suspension with some lowering springs. But apart from that, everything is pretty much standard. I think that's one of the reasons why when I bought the car because I like the look of it.
Right.
I'd never driven one before, but I just knew that I wanted a Cosworth. But actually driving it, it's actually quite amazing how smooth and light the steering feels, and it's just a really smooth ride.
Yeah.
I don't feel much difference from a modern car I'm driving now,
No. I was just gonna say it doesn't really feel like a '90s vehicle.
I see draws attention to it with the big wow tail on the back.
Yeah, that definitely is a very unique feature. See it there in the back, because every time you look in your rearview mirror, that's what you get a peek at. But that definitely draws some attention because, you know, here in the United States, these vehicles were never issued, so everybody that has one had to have one shipped over. So we never saw stuff like that. They didn't get into that type of styling with the Escort per se here. As you know, they were more of an economical car, just kind of your back and forth to work shooter. And especially around the time that Escorts were big, you know, we were still kind of on the back end of the fuel crisis and everything, so they were making a lot of smaller compact cars and just affordable with very minimal options. So to have a fancy Escort, even back then, a US version like the LS, you know, that was the luxury version of that, still wasn't all tricked out with bells and whistles. So in England, they decided they needed that, and I'm glad they did because it's a sweet little car.
One of the things when you go to the shows, the car shows, is what's funny is people's reaction is when they walk around it. The first one they go, "It's an Escort." I've not seen an Escort like this before. They think it's unusual.
Right, you got some body kit or something on it.
And then they go, "Why did Europe get the cool cars? Why don't the Americans get these ones?"
Right.
But me being England,
you'd probably say the same.
We would say the same about you. Got the cool stuff from, you know, the Mustangs.
Yeah.
You know, and in the Ford sort of world. So.
Never get tired of that.
But yeah, it's fun. It's you know, it's nice when you hear people's like intrigued about the car and understanding why did Europe have different styling to some of the American versions of cars. I'm quite strange that Ford didn't release this style in Europe, in America.
Right.
As soon as you get to a certain, like someone's got anything slightly special, they see the spoiler, they come up beside you, and all you hear is in the corner of your ear, and you're like, oh,
again.
I'm not going to race because there's going to be a policeman down there. I'm not going to lose my license for racing.
Right.
You know, everybody. But yeah, everybody seems to get beside this. They either like a thumbs up, or they want to race. This is not a trailer queen, as some people call them. I drive this. I will drive it in the rain. I'll try not to drive it in really bad weather.
Right.
But I will drive this quite regular. And you know, like I say, you can switch off the car you're in, especially if you drive so smooth like this.
Right.
You can just cruise and drive somewhere, and people start driving. You're like, what are you staring at me for? You know?
Yeah. What am I doing?
Why are you driving so slow? Can you please get past me? Because I need to turn off. And they want to hover next to you on the right lane just to look at your car. You know, what are you doing? And then you forget, oh, I'm in the Cosworth, so people are looking at the car.
Right.
I think the nice thing which you do when you go to car shows, like we went to the show in Tampa in the springtime, so I was cruising in to park up, and every now and again you just hear something, "It's a Cosworth, hey!" and you're like, "Hey, I don't know," but you forget sometimes, like you say, people like Ken Block was an advocate for the Fords, and he loved the Escort Cosworth. So if it wasn't for him, realistically, people wouldn't really know what Escort Cosworth is here in the US.
Yeah.
But he loved his Escort Cosworth.
tell me a little bit about the engine. I know nothing about these, so any information you can give me or the audience is going to be very helpful.
Yeah, so this is pretty much, as I said before, it's a standard engine, 2 litre with the turbo, the Garrett turbo. This one has been tuned slightly with an upgraded chip, engine management, with an air filter. And that's pretty much it with this engine. It's all-wheel drive, and there's not really much more with it. When they built these cars, there was a big turbo version and a small turbo version. The big turbo is what they had to do. There's 3,500 of those made, and that's what Ford had to do to put them on the road.
Okay.
Optimized, I think it's something called. After that, they then built a small turbo version, and the small turbo version was supposedly meant to run better, slightly less lag, with a slightly smaller turbo. But with the small turbo, there's a lot more electronics going on.
Okay.
So it made them a little bit harder to tune. The big turbo, they changed the engine management, off they go.
Okay.
So I've tried to keep this a little bit more simple. Chip, air filter, exhaust, standard sort of setup, and it runs about 300 brake horsepower.
It sounds great. It purrs. That little sputter is something that I'm going to be hearing in my dreams tonight. Thank you much for that.
You're welcome.
So with the Cosworth being, you brought it in from the UK, how hard is it to find parts here in the US for something like this?
Pretty much impossible. There's a few small electrical bits, niche bits which Ford would have shared between Mustang maybe and something on this possibly, but generally most things, yeah, it's impossible. I'll have to import it from Europe or the UK to get the parts for the car. It's getting difficult. The more the years go on, the more difficult it becomes to get the parts. Obviously the car was built off of a Mark V, originally Escort,
okay.
So some standard parts for the car would be available, but pretty much all the Mark V Escorts have all disappeared now, rusted, and
the specialty stuff too, that makes the Cosworth then are probably harder even yet to come by.
There are some very exclusive parts on there now which you just can't get hold of. You're hoping someone's breaking one, or you get lucky. There's a few niche companies which are doing some repo parts, because Cosworths have got a reasonable following throughout Europe. So there are some collectors who have got a stack pile a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, some parts are very tricky. Yeah. So the colour I've got on this car it's called Smoking Charcoal. It's a colour which I designed. I wanted to make a little bit deeper and darker, not so flamboyant. And the face on, it's got like a grey, silvery sort of colour, but then it goes into like a purple and a little bit of green, and then on a real nice sunny day the colours really pop and you see a vivid blue and violet come through. It's a cloudy day today, not really seeing all the colours, but a nice classic colour for us, and it's quite favourable for some of our customers.
It's gorgeous. The way in person, it's a lot different than what the camera really brings out, unfortunately. I wish the cameras picked that stuff up a little better. So yeah, the camera will not do this color justice. This is something you got to see in person. Just the variations in every angle, how things lay on the body lines and show different degrees of that color. It's really something to see in person. It's so clean, and this is all original interior.
Yeah, so this is all standard, and obviously this is got your spare wheel underneath here, and that's why it's a bit frustrating because I want to put a nice sub in the boot, but obviously they've got the spare wheel.
Right, yeah.
And there is a actual hump in the floor plan, so you can't have it totally flat.
Okay.
And then actually this is actually the toolbox, so you've got the jack, you've got the tow hook, the hooks and stuff in there. And I have got an original old school Phoenix Gold amp in the back when I got the car.
Oh yeah.
It's not being used at the moment, but I can't take it out. It's a classic.
Oh god, that brings back memories.
And a fire extinguisher just to be on the safe side.
Right? Classic. You can never be too safe with that. No, for all original, there's like no cracks. All the plastics are really nice. The leather's in really good shape. I mean, you take really good care of your stuff.
The nice thing
it definitely shows.
The parcel shelf has not even been cut.
Yeah.
Time with 6 6x9s in the back.
Yeah.
And this one hasn't been cut. cut in, which is quite unusual as well. So there's nice little features of this car, which I really liked when I bought it.
Yeah.
It's still holding together. Not too many rattles and things like that. It's really doing quite well.
You were telling me earlier that they came with 16-inch rims, but these are 18s?
Yeah, that's right. So Cosworths came with 16-inch rims, but for many people's personal opinion, the 16 is just too small. So someone decided back in the day that they could make replicas of the wheels in 18-inch, which they do sit much better. I've tried to lower it a little bit as well, just to try and sit in. But these are actually the original centre caps from my original Cosworth.
Okay.
So they fit in, so these are still original, but just with the replica 18s.
Well, that's going to wrap things up for us here today. Again, Justin, I really want to thank you for taking your time and showing us your beautiful vehicle, and I can't wait to see more. With that being said, as always, stay positive, work hard, and make it happen.